Hello, friends. And you say hello to Ms. Murray. Hello, Ms. Murray. All right, my friends, we are going to start today by breathing. Everybody sitting up nice and tall. Now, when we take a breath, are we going to involve our shoulders? Is it going to look like this? Oh, our shoulders are not connected to our lungs. So our shoulders shouldn't move at all when we breathe. The only thing that should move is our mouth, and inside our body, which we can't see, our lungs are filling up with air and then pushing the air out. So team, sit up tall. We're going to breathe in 4 and out 4. Ready? Here we go. Out. One more time. Out. This time, we're going to breathe in 4, but we're going to breathe out 8. So you're going to have to concentrate. Ready? Here we go. Breathe in 4. Out 8. One more time. Out. Now this time, we're going to breathe in 4, but when we breathe out, we're not just going to use air. We're going to connect that air to our larynx in our throat so that it will make noise as it comes out. And we're going to say all of our vowels. A, E, I, O, U. So when we have our note, we're going to go A, E, O, U. But we're going to connect it all, and we're going to do it on one breath. Sitting tall, nice quiet breath in. And ah. E, O, U. It's a lot of things that happen on one breath. We're going to try that again. You're going to have to think about the vowels that we're singing, how we're changing our shape of our mouth, because the only thing we're changing is the shape of our mouth. But you also have to concentrate and get a good enough breath so you have enough breath to do all of those things. All right, team, sitting up nice and tall. We're going to take in a big breath of 4. Ready? E, O, U. You need to be listening so you make sure that you are singing the same note that I am singing. One more time. Breathe in 4. E, O, U. Did you run out of breath? It takes concentration to be able to do this. So friends, when I first came in and we started, we sang, hello. We were singing notes. Notes that look like this. The notes that look like this, you'll notice that they all live on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines. All notes, all music. For singing, for playing the trumpet, for playing the violin, all notes live on the same kind of set of 5 lines, and notes look like this. You'll notice that in this group of notes, we have notes that have the stem going up, but look, we have notes with the stem going down. Both are correct. There's not just one way, there are 2 ways. So it can look like the letter D, or it can look like the letter P. Both are correct. When we started, we were singing, hello. We were singing, so, me. Let's try that. So, me. You notice we're singing this note, so, then this note, me, and we skipped that note. We skipped fa. So is thumbs up, me, looks like you're petting the dog. Let's do so, me, and then we're going to add fa. So first, so, me. Now, we're going to add in that fa. Fa looks like this, thumbs down. So we go from thumbs up, thumbs down. So, fa, me. Let's try that. Thumbs up. So, fa, that's thumbs down. Me, pet the dog. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Pet the dog. Here we go. So, fa, me. So the notes we're singing, so, fa, me. Those notes sound like they're going down. So, fa, me. Oh, because on here, it's telling us the notes that live on this ladder of 5 lines are going down. So notes can go up, do, re, mi, fa, so, mi, so, or they can go down, so, fa, mi. And looking at the notes tells us what to do. You'll notice that this note down here, do. Wait a minute. That is not connected to the 5 lines. It's off the 5 lines. In fact, we had to draw its own line in there. So this is do. This next note, re, is barely hanging on to the 5 lines. It kind of looks like a drop that's ready to drop off. Do, re, that's the one that looks like a karate chop. Mi. So we're going to start down here on do. We have our hands closed like this. Do. We're going to go up one note. Re. That one looks like a karate chop. Up another note. Mi. Looks like you're petting the dog. Up another note. Fa. Thumbs down. Up to so. Do. Re. Mi. Fa. So. Let's try that, team. We're going to start here on do. Ready on the same note, here we go. Do, re, mi, fa, so. Because the notes are going up. Oh, look, our arms are going up too. But now we're going to start here. So, and we're going to go down to here. Ready on so, here we go. Thumbs up, fa, mi, re, do. So friends, from now on, every time we have music, we're going to be talking about these notes. Do, re, mi, fa, so. And we'll get to the other notes. Don't worry. Now, the song that we're learning today is a song about a donut. Now, everybody likes a donut and a good donut shop, and that's what our song is about. It's talking about going around the corner to get themselves a donut when they get to the donut shop. So friends, I am going to sing this song for you, and then we will all sing it together. So first we're going to listen. It starts, well, I walked around the corner, and I walked around the block, and I walked right into the donut shop, and I picked up a donut, and I wiped off the grease, and I handed Dee my 5-cent piece. When she looked at the nickel, and she looked at me, and she said, "Kind sir, you can plainly see there's a hole in the nickel, and it goes right through." And I said, "There's a hole in the donut too. Thanks for the donut. So long." So our person has walked around the corner, and they walked around the block, and they walked into the donut shop, where they picked up a donut and they wiped off the grease. Donuts are a little greasy. And then they handed the lady what kind of money? It says a 5-cent piece. And what is another word for a coin that is worth 5 cents? Oh, it says right here. She looked at the nickel. Team, I hate to tell you this, but you cannot buy a donut for a nickel. Not anywhere. This is kind of an old song. So a nickel is the same thing as a 5-cent piece. But now wait a minute. This nickel had something special about it. This nickel, she says, "Kind sir, you can see there's a hole in the nickel." Do you have a nickel with a hole in it? I don't have a nickel with a hole in it. I've never seen a nickel with a hole in it. That seems pretty strange. And the person buying the donut says, "It's okay. There's a hole in the donut too. Thanks for the donut. So long." All right, team. We're going to go back to the beginning. We're going to sing all of this song together. Ready? Here we go. Well, I walked around the corner, and I walked around the block, and I walked right into the donut shop, and I picked up a donut, and I wiped off the grease, and I handed the lady my 5-cent piece. Well, she looked at the nickel, and she looked at me, and she said, "Kind sir, you can plainly see there's a hole in the nickel, and it goes right through." And I said, "There's a hole in the donut too. Thanks for the donut. So long." Now, friends, this is not just a song. No. There are hand movements that go with the song. So the hand movements for this song start where you pat your knee. It starts hand pat, clap, put one hand up, clap. Then the next line, we start again, knee, clap, but this time use your other hand, clap. The next time, we start all over, same thing again, hands on your knee, clap, both hands, clap, and snap, snap, snap. That's the whole thing that we do with our hands. And then we just keep doing that same thing with your hands. Now, friends, if you are not able to snap yet, we're going to keep practicing so that you will be able to do it very soon. So we're going to practice. So we do 3 things, and then it goes to the snaps. And each one of the 3 things starts knee, clap, one hand, clap. We start again. Knee, clap. Other hand, clap. Knee, clap. Both hands clap and snap, snap, snap. Together, here we go. Knee, clap. Hand, clap. Knee, clap. Other hand, knee, clap. Both hands. Clap and snap, snap, snap. All right, we're going to now put those two things together. The choreography, that's another word for dancing, so the movement part, with the singing part. So yeah, your brain, turn your brain on, because we're going to have to do a whole bunch of things at the same time. Your brain's going to have to look at the words and then remember what your hands are supposed to do. Okay, we're going to go nice and slow so that we can get it all together. Ready? Well, I walked around the corner and I walked around the block and I walked right to the donut shop and I picked up a donut and I wiped off the grease and I handed the lady my 5-cent piece. When she looked at the nickel and she looked at me and she said, "Kind sir, you can plainly see there's a hole in the nickel and it goes right through." And I said, "There's a hole in the donut too. Thanks for the donut. So long." So that last line, "Thanks for the donut so long," a little bit different in that the last thing we do is a salute. That is like people do that are in the military. They start with their arm straight, and then they put this part of their hand right here on their eyebrow. And that is a salute. Salute. Let's try that. Salute. And it's "Thanks for the donut so long." Now we do it a tiny little bit faster. Ready? Well, here we go. When I walked around the corner and I walked around the block and I walked right into the donut shop and I picked up a donut and I wiped off the grease and I handed the lady my 5-cent piece. Well, she looked at the nickel and she looked at me and she said, "Kind sir, you can plainly see there's a hole in the nickel and it goes right through." And I said, "There's a hole in the donut too. Thanks for the donut so long." Tiny bit faster. All right, team, you're getting really practice on your snapping today. Make sure you're singing the words, singing the correct notes, and doing all of the hand things. That is a lot of things to be worried about. And, of course, breathing. Ready? Nice big breath. Ready? When I walked around the corner and I walked around the block and I walked right into the donut shop and I picked a donut and I wiped off the grease and I handed the lady my 5-cent piece. Well, she looked at the nickel and she looked at me and she said, "Kind sir, you can plainly see there's a hole in the nickel and it goes right through." And I said, "There's a hole in the donut too. Thanks for the donut so long." All right, team. That's a whole lot of things that we did today in music class. We did all the choreography, we did all of the words, and we talked about all of the different notes. So team, we're going to say goodbye, sitting up nice and tall. Big, quiet breath in. Goodbye, friends. Say goodbye to Miss Murray. Goodbye, Miss Murray. So So long, friends.